Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of our show notes, a program of the San Diego Sound Project at the Museum of Making Music, sponsored in part by the Conrad Prebys Foundation and City of Carlsbad Cultural Arts Office. It's a time where we get to take a look at the artists and the influences of the concert series that we're presenting at the museum. And today we're very, very excited to welcome a multi-instrumentalist, a composer, lyricist, pianist. He plays accordion, all a huge array of instruments. And he's our special guest today, Alex Arango. He's going to be performing at the Museum of Making Music tomorrow evening, Saturday, April 23rd. And joining us also as our special guest interviewer is Dr. David Castañedas, musician, scholar, and apparently a very frequent guest of our museum programs here. This will be the third time we've welcomed David to our Mom at Home and then Live at Mom series. So welcome, everyone. Welcome back, David. Welcome for the first time, Alex. We're so excited to be hosting you today and to learn about your career in music and what we can expect to experience at the concert tomorrow night. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Really excited.
Awesome. All
Feeling
right.
good,
Well,
feeling good.
I'm going to go ahead and turn the conversation over to you. We have so much to explore, so much to talk about, and I see we've already got some special guests excited to see what's happening. I see Gary Pirro in the audience today, so I'm sure he's going to have some fabulous questions for us as well. All right, gentlemen, so I'll let you take over here.
Alex, well, thank you so much for letting me serve as interviewer and taking everyone on this journey of understanding and exploring a bit about who you are. I've known you for just about 10 years now. We actually just talked about it. It's about 9 years that we've known each other. So we've known each other for a while. We're going to get into how we met each other later on in the interview for everyone watching. I think one of the things that I love so much about your work, that I've been able to see you grow over these many, many years that we've known each other, is how many different things not only you're doing now, right? So all these different projects and all these different disciplines that you kind of fuse together in your work as a musician, but also as an educator, as a creator, but also your voice and your approach to arranging and to composition, which fuses all of these different musical styles from all these different places in the world, which to me, that's, for anyone who knows me, that's like my bag. I love that. I find it fascinating. So I think the one thing I want to ask you is kind of the opener for this entire conversation is, how did your voice as an arranger and composer develop?
Well, thanks. First of all, thanks for having me here, and thanks for interviewing me. I can think of a better person to do it. Like you said, we've known each other for so long, and it's been great. Also, getting to see you grow and become a doctor. So, congrats on that. As for finding my voice, it was more of a recovery period in college. I would say my formative years as a musician were the 4 years I spent at UC San Diego. And it was a recovery period because I found that I had a lot of experiences that influenced what I heard in my head. So when I started composing music, I was hearing stuff in my head. I was like, oh, but I was gaining the abilities to put pen to paper to actually start writing those things down and have the band play them or write them myself, and making songs. So I guess the voice came from the music I listened to when I was growing up in Colombia. I lived in Colombia the first 8 years of my life. So a lot of folkloric rhythms, including cumbia, salsa, vallenato, bambuco, sillo. Those are very specific Colombian rhythms that really influenced who I am, what I listen to, what I like. And then combining those things with all the stuff I heard when I went to the US, which included jazz, rock, hip hop. So then when I was actually doing the work, I realized that I hear things in my head, and it's just a matter of sitting down at the piano and figuring out the notes and then just writing it down. So that's kind of how I keep finding my voice as a composer. So I like to try to, or how would I say it, to combine things that have been combined but not force them. Sometimes I've tried things. I have so many unfinished projects on my computer where I try to combine certain genres that I'm like, oh, let's see if I can make it work, and it just doesn't sound good. So I try to make it more organic. If it's not, make it more, I don't know, make it fit. Don't force it in. So a lot of the times I just look up on YouTube. Like, for example, one of the songs that I like most we're presenting tomorrow is a song called No Voy a Quedarme. And where I found that song was I was just researching some music for inspiration, and I typed in Bambuco jazz on YouTube. And the first thing that came up was No Voy a Quedarme. And that served as inspiration for me to pose other things. I saw, oh, wow, like people can do this and sounds good, and this is the way to do it. I take that format and I make it my own.
So for anyone who might not know what bambuco is, how would you describe bambuco? So you're talking about a lot of like Afro-Colombian musics, right, folkloric musics that are very specific to different regions of Colombia. And they all have kind of their own vibe, right? So how would you, for someone who would not be familiar perhaps with these types of music, how would you describe them? And what about these musics is so speaks to you so much?
Yeah, so Bambuco is music that originated in the Andean region of Colombia. So not quite the current side, but a little more inland. And it's very similar to a minuet or a waltz in that has a dance associated to it. And so when people think of bambuco, they think of the traditional dancing and stuff. But what I'm fascinated with, I actually learned about the dance later on in life. I just knew about the music when I was growing. But the thing about bambuco that just makes me gravitate to it is the way it's counted. So like most of the time, music here in the U.S. is counted in four. Like you always hear the drummer 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the band comes in. But bambuco is counted in 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you accent the 3 and the 5. So you would count it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So to me, that I can't describe exactly why it just gets to me. It just really speaks to me. But every time I hear it, I just can't help but start grooving and moving. Is that thing where you don't land on the dead beat and you just start bouncing. So I think that's the thing that speaks to me the most about it.
So it's the rhythm then. The rhythm is very infectious. It's complicated, sophisticated.
The rhythm, yeah. And I think that rhythm lends itself to certain melodies that you can really do with other rhythms that are a little bit more straight. So it's just the whole thing. It's just bambuco.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's so many, as someone who myself, I love a lot of South American music as well. The rhythm in South America is something that is always very infectious, from Argentinian music to Afro-Peruvian music, Colombian music. There's so much rhythm in South America, right? That apart from the beautiful harmony that there is, of course, in places like Brazil and all over, really, Spanish-speaking Latin America, but the rhythms are amazing. So you take these different folkloric musics that really, really speak to you, and you fuse them. I know.
Ooh, sorry, David. I think we lost you. I can't hear you anymore.
Try requesting your microphone again, David. Sometimes we have technical problems like this, but we work around them, even in a live broadcast.
Yeah.
Maybe try rejoining the room again, David. We'll get you back in. We apologize about that. Anyway, I'm always fascinated by the rhythms. I mean, I had, when you were describing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm like, it's those types of non-traditional rhythms that really kind of open up a different awareness of all the different styles that are out there. And then it's amazing how that can influence you. Really excited. What other rhythms out there, while we were waiting for David to come back, were really affecting the type of music that you created?
Well, so there's so many rhythms that really influence me, and some of them are like vallenato, which is another type of music that we can touch on later on, cumbia and salsa, pasillo. Those 4 or 5 rhythms I think are the most important ones. We touched on something that I wanted to talk a little bit about, and it's how the rhythms influences. And I think that ties back into the beginning of how I was influenced, but my experiences made me perceive those kinds of music in a different way than someone who grew up there and just listened to that. So the way I hear it is more of a from a new perspective. So I'm able to take that perspective, get that music, and develop it into something different. And I find it amazing how that allows us to create new genres, new styles of music. And it's something I think about a lot when I'm teaching my students. I have a lot of young students that I teach, and I try to expose them to all these rhythms. And I often think, I wonder what they're going to do with this music later on in life. And I just can't wait to see the work that my students will do in the future because of influences and how they're going to perceive the music that I'm teaching them.
Awesome. And I see we have David back. David, do we have your microphone now? No, we don't. Oh, can we see about, let me see. I see it's AirPods. We're going to try and attempt some technical wizardry here. I'm going to ask you if we can use your microphone there, David. There we go.
Hello.
I hear you.
Yes. Am I clear on that end?
Yes. I hear you clearly on the iMac microphone. Was that the one we were using before, or do we want to try for the AirPods?
I think the iMac is probably better.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, I've got you on the iMac then.
Okay. Alex, you can hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So what I want to get into now is a bit of this some of your video production work, because you have a lot of videos on YouTube for anyone who might not be aware of this. So there's a lot of videos that you've produced where you're doing kind of like the Jacob Collier thing, where you have like all these instruments around you and you're creating all the rhythms yourself. And they're all, from what I understand, some of them are original, some of them are original arrangements of covers. So talk to us a little bit about that. Well, how did that come to be?
Yeah, well, Jacob Collier was one of the inspirations, and I always wanted to do stuff like that. But it's been hard for me to feel comfortable in front of the camera and be the center of attention. I'm generally, when I perform, I'm being vocalist or part of a band or producing music behind the scenes. But what really pushed me to start doing these things was the pandemic. The pandemic, forced us to start innovating and adapt. So I was cooked up at home, and I figured, I might as well start recording myself since I can't play with other people and accompany myself. And so I put my music technology to great use and started recording myself and making original arrangements. And so that was a form of artistic outlet that I had throughout the pandemic. And I just kept going, and I kept getting ideas like, oh, I really like the way this song sounds, or I've always been meaning to make an arrangement of the song. And since I had the opportunity at the time, I took the advantage to make that into a way, a product that I could put on YouTube and have it sort of as a portfolio, so people go in there and see the abilities that I have, because some people that know me as a piano player may not know that I play accordion, or some people that know that I play those things, they don't know that I produce music. So I'm trying to market those abilities that I do have, those skills. Like, for example, just a couple weeks ago or last week was Easter, and thanks to this marketing pastor who reached out to me, and he's like, hey, can you make a track that combines traditional organ hymns, hip hop? And so we did a song, I think the hymn called Lift Up the Cross High. And so I got the organ arrangement of that, and I put a hip hop behind that, and then he rapped over it. So this allowed me to just, meet new people, work on different things that I hadn't working before. So yeah, it's been a great journey, but the pandemic, the thing that forced that to happen.
Wonderful. What about so you mentioned your music technology degree, and I know that this was a very, very big part of your development as a musician, but now also, as we're understanding, as an arranger, as a creator, and a music producer. So what was this program? Tell us all about it.
So I majored in I think called ICAM music at UC San Diego, and ICAM stands for Interdisciplinary Computing and the Arts in Music. And so coming out of high school, I still wasn't sure I wanted to go into music. I I wasn't a prodigy. I really liked playing music, and I started developing my own voice and taste in music when I was about 15 or 16. Um, I got some like scholarships and some awards, but I still wasn't sure I wanted to dedicate my professional career to music. And so when I went to visit UC San Diego, my senior year of high school, I went to the music advisor and I told her I got in for engineering, but I want to do music. And she's like, we got the perfect program for you. So she took me out to recording studios and she showed me, all the technology they had. And she said, and you can still do music. And in fact, so I was flying out like 3 hours later, and she's like, well, before you leave, today's Tuesday, I want you to go see Kamu's class. And so she sent me from her office to observe the jazz ensemble rehearsal. That's actually where I met you, David. I think I may have mentioned this. You were leading song, an arrangement of Clocks, the Coldplay song, in a salsa rhythm, and this is the place I gotta be. So that actually, no, but honestly, that rehearsal was a very instrumental thing in me ending up at UC San Diego, me ending up in the city, and it just, the butterfly effect. It's amazing how that one thing really influenced such a part of my life. So I ended up at UC San Diego studying IK music and combining technology with music. But of course, I'm doing a lot of acoustic music myself. I did the jazz ensemble so many times that the department was complaining, like, hey, you got too many minutes, like, you stop taking classes because you're taking way too many classes. So I ended up having to do those classes, just like for fun, basically without getting any credit. But that was what I was drawn to. My curriculum that I required to do included recording studio classes, synthesizing sounds, learning about DAW, so like Logic, GarageBand, Ableton, those things. And I also did live sound for concert and events at UCS. So with the stuff that I had to do that I wasn't at the time as passionate about, eventually I developed the passion because I saw how you can combine it. Combining that with my passion of music, I was able to create new things. I was able to use the recording studios to make an album for my senior project. I was able to create hip-hop beats for people, background tracks. I was able to make my own music that I wanted to do because I had all the skills. And when doing live sound for music, for concerts and events, I got to meet a wide variety of people from the San Diego music community and international musicians too. It was great getting to have touring bands come in, especially the Latin American bands. I would always be the engineer requested because I would communicate with them really well, and they liked the work that I did. So it was such a cool, looking back at it, it was a cool thing that I ended up doing ICAM because I was able to learn more that I would have done if I would have just done music, though that was my passion.
And I think we should, we got to give credit where it's due. So that ensemble rehearsal that you were talking about, so that was actually Kamal Kenyatta's class. That was that's how I first met, not on that day, but that's through that class is the first time that I met Kamal. Kamal, as we talked about before on this show, when it was my show, Kamal has been a huge part of my life. I know the same is true for yours. So in that rehearsal, Kamal was letting me direct just one song. It was just one song, and that's when you came in. I know that you worked with him after I graduated and this whole time as well, and you studied with him when you were at UCSD. Can you talk a little bit about the influence that Kamal has had on your development as a musician, but also as an educator? Because I know that you yourself are an educator as well now. So how did all that develop?
Yeah. Since that rehearsal, Kamal took me under his wing, you could say. While you were leading that rehearsal, he sat down next to me, and I told him, I'm thinking about coming here, and he started talking about me about his philosophy of not forcing things. It was weird to me that he was a professor and he came sit down, and it was such a relaxed environment where I had more strict teachers before in high school, and the band didn't sound as good. that made me start thinking like, oh, so there's different ways to teach music. It doesn't have to be this very strict thing where you have to learn the Bach sonatas, the Mozart things, all these super strict things. And if you don't play it right, they smack you with a ruler. Because that's what I thought. I was scared of going to music school because that's how I thought it was. And so it started opening my eyes from then on. When I eventually made it to UCD, I remember I auditioned for the jazz ensemble playing a Brazilian tune by Antonio Carlos Jobim called Desafinado. And Kamau is a big fan of Brazilian music. So right away, we started talking, and he's like, so do you know how it came about? And he told me the story of how that song came to be. And from then on, we developed not only a teacher-student relationship, but like a friendship since then. And he influenced me professionally, like you said, regarding education, how to be an educator, and also very like personally, just how to be as a person, how to treat other people. At college, I took this class many times. Like I saw him all 4 years, and even then, college, I was coming back to the class to help out, to arrange music for the class and everything. So, I mean, I can't say enough about it. I guess the way I could round up is, there's not a time when I don't listen to music or play music that I don't think of Kamau. Anytime I hear any kind of music, I think of like, I wonder what Kamau thinks of this, or I wonder what he would be able to play that to make this better. So that's how much of an impact he's made to me. He's the biggest musical influence I've had, and the most influential musical mentor I've had. So yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. So with that, having just said that, how has that influenced your own work as an educator? Because we can both go on and on about how amazing Kamau is. I know that I would not hesitate for 1 minute. I know we both would not hesitate. But part of, for me at least, when I think back to the amazing educators that I had in my life, it's not only, like as we've all probably heard before, it's not only what you learn, but you're learning how to think, right? You're learning what's going on, and also how to teach. I know that you yourself have a large swath of students, and that you teach many different things, and you've taken some of these lessons that you've learned from people that come out into your own teaching practice. So what are some of the things that you teach, and how are you using all the stuff that you learned in ICAM and with Kamau today as an educator?
The approach of having a more relaxed environment and focusing on what the student wants to learn is probably the biggest takeaway I got from Kamau. And so right now I have about 20 weekly students, and I teach piano, accordion, and music production, either Ableton Live or Logic. And I take the same approach to all of those things. When a student comes in, what do you want to work on? They say, I don't know, then I choose. But if they want to work on something, I try to take that inspiration and not credit. I want to be able to encourage them to flourish as musicians and get, like, if they're motivated to do something, I want to encourage that. So we can work on pop music. I've had to learn so many like Disney songs and stuff to teach, and that's fine. They're learning music. I've had some kids that like classical music, and so that's awesome too. Like if they like classical music, I don't mind that. Just because I had not the best experience learning classical music doesn't mean they don't get to do that. I also like the idea of not having structured classes. So whenever I would come into a lesson with Kamau, sometimes we ended up talking the whole time. We didn't even play a note, but it was just about the philosophy behind the music, the history behind the music, which I think is all very important to take into account when you perform the music. So sometimes like for example, yesterday I was having a talk with one of my students about what does music mean to them? How does it make them feel? Why does it make them feel? Eventually that started leading, and keep in mind, this student is only 8 years old, and it was fascinating listening to his point of view on these things. And we eventually started talking about sound waves. Music is just vibrations that travel through the air and get to our ears. And there we talked about physics. He's really into space. So then we started talking about like sound in space. Why does it happen? Why there's no air particles and things like that. And so my music classes are not necessarily just music classes or just piano classes, just one thing. Like we get to talk about different things, acoustics classes, we get to talk about influence, history, and music, of course. So yeah, the philosophy that you and I both got from Mao is how I try to approach my life as an educator.
I love that. I love that. I love how you connect all these different things together. Yeah, music is so much more than just notes. It's so much more than just even performance, right? It's like you're saying, philosophy. It's science. It's all these different things. I mean, for me, it's culture. It's humanity, right? It's who we are as a species, right? It's what we do. We create. So being able to connect all these things is so important as an educator, and it makes me feel so good to hear this coming from you. Because again, I remember when we first met in undergrad. You know, now to see you as a full-fledged educator and doing the same thing for younger musicians is a beautiful thing. To go back to your work.
No, I just wanted to add one little anecdote that I was just remembering as we were preparing for this interview. There's one time, first year of college, I think it might have been your last year, as music students, we had access to the music building 24/7. So I ended up going to practice about 3 a.m. or something like that. And I was going to the bathroom, and you were also practicing at 3 a.m. in the music building. So we ended up talking for a little bit and just talking about life and stuff. And something you said really resonated with me. And you getting ready to go to your master's program at CSU LA. You said that one of the most rewarding things one can do as a person is pass on the knowledge to other people, pass on the knowledge that you've acquired. And so ever since then, that's another thing I tried to adapt into my teachings as well. And you know, the feeling that you get from teaching is such a rewarding thing that I always want to be able to teach, regardless of what I end up doing in music or otherwise. I always want to be able to teach music to a variety of students.
That's I didn't even remember that happened, but I'm so glad that it happened. How did you remember something that happened at 3 o'clock in the morning? Oh my goodness.
I have a good memory, and it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Well, okay, so go back to your work a little bit. So I really want you to explain a little bit of how this working relationship with Lawrence Park came to be, because a lot of cool music has come out of this partnership that you have with him. And it's more, not so much on, let's say, the jazz or Afro-Latin side of music, but this is more hip-hop and rap. And it's a lot of really, really good, really interesting music that's coming out of this partnership. So how did that come to be?
Well, how it just happened, I was in the studio one time. It was like the end of my third year. It was finals week of my third year. Again, good memory thing. I'm just like realizing finals week of the end of my third year in college, and I was in the studio recording with a folk music. Actually, we were recording a folk album, and I get a message on Facebook Messenger, and it's Lauren. She's like, "Hey, Lauren, hey, Alex, someone recommended me to you to. They said that you play piano. I need a piano player for this Friday." It was the Wednesday, and he did someone for Friday to play at the Mar Fair. I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. What are we gonna play? And he sends me a list of 20 songs, and he's like, "These are all pop songs that you hear on the radio. They're all over the place. You know them, right?" And I'm like, "No, I don't know pop music." At the time, I didn't really love pop music. I went through that phase that a lot of musicians go through, where like, oh, pop music is not real music. It's cookie cutter stuff that gets sent, and so I wasn't listening to pop music at the time. So the next day we ended up meeting for 5 hours and going to rehearsal of all 20 plus songs. And from then on, I started developing an appreciation for pop music, because when you study something, you see the work that goes into it. So from then on, we started working together. We started gigging a lot. We played weddings, bars downtown here in San Diego. We've done little tours uptown California. I've played San Francisco. We played a casino in Santa Rosa. And just spending so much time together, we developed a friendship. And eventually songs came out of that. He wanted to use the skills that I had in studying other types of music to apply to his music. And I wanted to be able to practice making music that was more widely digestible, I guess, or for more people to listen to. Uh, I listened to a lot of R&B and hip hop growing up as well, because I grew up in a neighborhood where a lot of people listened to rap, and that was the cool thing to listen to. So I like that music. So I had that in my ear, like that I'd never listened to rap, and then all of a sudden I'm making it. So we've just the past 2 3 years gotten together for sessions and written original works, and usually I'm just his producer. He writes all the lyrics and the singing parts, and he gives me that. I create a harmony and a beat to it, and we just combine that thing. We together, we hash things out that we hashed out, and he's been putting them out on YouTube and Spotify and stuff. He has 800,000 subscribers on YouTube, so the song is getting quite a bit of listen. So it's great to be able to get my work out for people to listen to, even if it's in more of a ghostwriter kind of thing or behind the scenes. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So we're going to hear any of this music at the show tomorrow?
We are not. For the show tomorrow, I wanted to focus on the music that influenced me and the music that I fully composed that my name is on. This other music, it's his name. He's the project lead, and I'm just like the producer of it. So tomorrow, unfortunately, there's not going to be that music.
So what will we listen to tomorrow?
So tomorrow we have a variety of the things I've composed, as well as some songs that really speak to me because they combine folklore Colombian music with other genres, whether it be jazz or like pop, American pop music. So my compositions range from, like I just folklore Colombian music to hip hop. And I've actually pride myself in listening to a wide variety of music. And I have a lot of friends that listen to death metal growing up. So I've composed some metal with them, and I've composed a wide variety of things. So we won't be hearing death metal tomorrow, but we will be hearing a wide variety of rhythms that I've composed, and that includes cumbia, which is their Afro-Colombian folkloric genre. We'll be hearing vallenato, which is another folkloric genre from Colombia. We'll be hearing hip hop, jazz, and just a combination of those things.
Wonderful. Okay, so I have 3 here that I know we've talked about before, and I think I like all your music, but I really wanted to single these out to give people just a little bit of a preview of what might happen tomorrow. The first one is In La Plaza. So talk to us a little bit about this composition. What's in store?
This is a very special song for me that I composed. It's more personal than a lot of things that I've composed, because In La Plaza translates to in the town square. Not literally, but just the context of it. So I was born and grew up until the age of 8 in a very tiny town in the mountains close to Medellin, Colombia. And that town is called Fredonia, and the town is probably 4,000 or 5,000 people at the most. So everybody knows each other. You always encounter the same characters in the town, and it's a very unique way of life. It's a very simple way of life. So I have very fond memories of that town and being there and what it felt like. So when I was finishing up my undergrad, I composed a concept album that explained the thoughts and feelings I had as an immigrant, as a Colombian immigrant to this country. And one of the songs I wrote was En La Plaza, because I wanted to explain how I felt before I left to come to the US. And I was very sad at the time to be leaving, even though I was 8 at the time, but I knew there was a lot more opportunity for me to grow in the US. But I was still very sad. And so when I was composing it, I pictured myself just standing in the town square, which is the heart of the town, and the church, the main church is there, the bank, which at the time was this company called Conavi, and their logo was a bee, and that it was so iconic to me. Like, they must have done some good marketing because I still remember that logo. And the city hall was there. My favorite bakery in all the world is there. Whenever I go, I end up spending way too much time there. So I pictured myself there, and this is one of the few songs I've written lyrics for, and it's going to be in Spanish. And the genre I chose to write it in is another folklore genre from the Andean region called Pasillo. The two main ones are Buco and Pasillo from the inland part of Colombia. And it just talks about the feeling I have of going to events in that time, where spending some time in that bakery, admiring your surroundings and the people that are there. So that I'm very excited to present that song because it's so special to me.
Wonderful, wonderful. And now, what about El Hijo de Diana? This is one of my favorites, actually, of the whole set. So talk to me a little bit about this one.
El Hijo de Diana is, I wrote it in a vallenato style. Vallenato is another Colombian style of music that comes from a place called Valledupar. So vallenato is a play on words. The vallenato can be someone from the valle, which is the valley, someone from the valley. Vallenato could also be the son of a whale, because ballena, and then vallenato is the son of the whale. And it could be vallenato because it comes from a place called Valledupar. So it's a little play on words. And vallenato is not something that I had a choice but to listen to when I was growing up, because every weekend the neighbors would blast it when they would clean the house. And so I had no choice but to listen to it, and eventually I started liking it. To this day, when I clean the house, put on loud vallenato music. So if my girlfriend hears loud vallenato music, she can assume, oh, Alex is probably cleaning the house. Because yeah, it just got ingrained in it. So one of the most famous vallenato songs is called Diana. And it's one of the first songs that any accordion player that plays vallenato learns, because it's a relatively simple melody and it's so widely known. It's actually can you hear this? Okay, so it goes something like that. Something like that. And so it's wide keys on the piano. So it's a relatively easy thing to play. Coincidentally, my mom's name is Diana. So whenever I would practice, sometimes I would tease her and just start playing it, and she would give me that look like, okay, again. And so this song I wrote with my mom as an inspiration, because we're best friends. We have such a good relationship. And she's one of the strongest people emotionally, physically, that I know. And I just admire her a lot. So this is an ode to my mom. So El Hijo de Diana translates to Diana's son, because it's taken from Vallenato, the song Diana, and my mom. And that's how the song came to be.
Is your mom going to be there tonight or tomorrow night?
Luckily, going to be there tomorrow night.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wonderful. And the last one, All at the Table. What is this? What is this?
So All at the Table came to be because it was such an organic thing. When I was composing the music for my concept album at the end of my undergrad career, but about a year before that, I was touring and in San Francisco, and so I reached out to one of my best friends from high school, who I played soccer with, and I spent a lot of time with him. Know his family really well, and I reached out to him and I invited him to the performance, and he came through. I ended up hanging out afterwards, and it was him, a buddy of his, and me, and they started playing instrumental hip hop music, and then they started freestyling, and I was like, "Oh, where this come? Like, I didn't know you freestyled." And so I kept that in the back burner. And when it was time for me to write the music, I wanted to incorporate hip hop music because that was such a big influence to me in my teenage years. Um, I was I used to take the bus that was about the school bus from where I lived to the schools that I went to, and then plus whoever had that MP3 player, the popular kids. So whenever I got a chance to sit to someone that had an MP3 player, I got to listen to music, and then almost certainly it would always be hip hop music, rap, especially the old school stuff like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, 90s, NWA, stuff like that. So I wanted to incorporate that music that influenced my musical taste a lot. And I thought, what better way to do it than to have this personal connection with someone who rap, compose something with them, and put my own flavor of Latin music into it. So we ended up writing a lot of music for that album. And afterwards, I was like, hey, what do you think of the idea of continuing to music? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. Like, this is such a fun thing to do, just as a hobby kind of thing. And I was like, okay, I think this is gonna be fun. I always had the dream to present these songs, but it was kind of didn't get hopes up too much because he didn't necessarily want that to be presented. He just wanted to do it for fun. But a lot of songs came out of this collaboration, and All at the Table was one of them. And I picked this song because it talks about growing up and knowing someone who you eventually part ways with, whether it be because of natural circumstances, because you apart, because you had a fight or whatever. So it talks about a friend who you grew up with, and eventually, you're no longer friends for whatever reason. That was a really powerful message because that has happened, and I'm sure we've all gone through that. And it's such a sad thing that happened, but it's life. And the music that came out of it was also just something that I vibe to. It's even though I compose many genres of music, these songs that I did with him that I'm presenting tomorrow are some of the most favorite things that I like to listen to. Like sometimes it comes on my playlist and I'm vibing and I'm like, oh yeah, I composed that. Like, that's cool. And when you get that feeling, it's such an amazing feeling. Like, music brings such joy, and the extra added layer of music that you compose and you like it yourself, it's such an indescribable feeling. So that's how I came to decide to present All at the Table tomorrow.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to be part of the band tomorrow night. It's going to be a party. It's going to be great. The music, I can't wait to hear it live, and I can't wait to be on stage with you as you share it with everyone who's going to be watching online, but also
which reminds me, yes, we do. I've been holding on to this question all day, but it reminds me what you just said, David, about the musicians who are going to be joining you on stage. Can you kind of give us an overview who will be on stage with you? I know David will be there, so we're very happy to welcome him back. But can you kind of give us a rundown of who you've invited to be part of this experience?
Absolutely. Yes, like you mentioned, David's going to be playing congas as well as other auxiliary percussion. One of the themes I want to highlight with this show tomorrow is the power that music has to bring people together. It's made my connections to my friends stronger, and it's allowed me to meet a lot of people that I really enjoy being with. I find that musicians, for the most part, are grateful. So whether you're listening to music together or whether you're playing music together, it's like going to the trenches. You're really forging a relationship that music makes stronger. So some of the people all the people that I included in the band tomorrow are just good people that I really enjoy spending time with, and that I've known for a long time. And it's something that I was noticing on a drive today is that, David, you're gonna be the old generation of 95 JC. I'm gonna have students.
Oh, yo. Take it easy now. Take it easy.
You're gonna be the OG, and I'm gonna have students from,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
I'm gonna have students from my generation who I've played on countless gigs, countless projects, recording sessions, and I'm gonna have someone from the new generation of 95JC who's currently playing in the band that Kamau leads at UC San Diego. So we have people that let's see how, I mean, I could talk about them individually, but there's going to be 8 people, and all of them I played with before, and we've worked on a lot of music together. So it's people that are very special to me. And someone who is especially special to me is my girlfriend, who's going to be playing trumpet. She also played in 95JC, and we just celebrated our 10 years a week ago today.
Wow.
So it's going to be very special for us to share the stage because we met in high school, and we met in the jazz ensemble in high school. So it comes full circle to sharing the stage tomorrow evening.
Amazing. Wow, we're so excited. The question that I did have, it came up really early in the conversation, and I just, like I said, I've been holding on to it. Gary asks, what's your preferred instrument? And so I'm going to break this down. What is your preferred instrument to perform on? But also, what is your favorite instrument to arrange and compose for?
Very good question. So, my favorite instrument to perform on, that just depends on the kind of music I'm performing. The accordion is such a fun instrument to perform because it being so close to the heart, it gets a little bit more spiritual for me. I feel the vibrations of the instrument as I play it, and so it just allows for a better feeling as I'm performing. But some of the things that I can execute on accordion, I can do on piano and vice versa. So if I'm performing salsa music, I would prefer to do it on piano because that's where the piano patterns that go in salsa go, and so I would prefer to do that on the piano. So it just depends on the type of music that I'm performing. But both are just about equal. Accordion and piano are great. As far as what instruments I like arranging for, I love arranging horns. My favorite instrumentation is the one we'll do tomorrow. We'll just one saxophone, one trumpet, and one trombone. I think now that I'm thinking out loud, I'm realizing that may have been, remember hearing music from New Orleans. I listened to a lot of New Orleans jazz, like when I was a teenager. And I loved how the combination of those instruments, they were all improvising and it came together and it sounded so good. So I think that may be why I just like that simplicity of 3 instruments and how they sound similar, but also quite different and creates such a cool harmony. So that's probably the main 3 instruments I like arranging for.
Awesome. Great answer. Wow. You never know what until you start diving into these questions, like, wow, I'd never considered maybe this is where I'm going. Thank you. Yeah, that was a question from Gary Pirro. So he's a longtime listener of the jazz scene. I know he's been here a couple times as a guest viewer. So he has really, really great questions. I'm glad we could answer that for him. That's all I have for my questions. How are we doing with your conversation? Are we feeling good?
Good.
Yeah. Well, Alex, I want to thank you so much for sharing your life and your music and your development as a person, as a musician, composer, arranger, performer with us. I'm thoroughly excited to be sharing the stage with you tomorrow. Like I said before, being able to see you grow from when we first started together at 95 under Kamau into the kind of person and performer and educator you become today has been a privilege, and it's an honor to be on stage with you.
It means a lot coming from you. It really does. So I appreciate you, leading this conversation, and I can't wait to share the stage with you tomorrow as well.
Looking forward to it. I want to meet your mom. I want to congratulate your mom on raising such a wonderful young man, grown man, amazing musician. Thank you, BJ. Thank you so much to the Museum of Making Music.
Absolutely.
I can't wait for tomorrow.
We're so lucky to have the opportunity to welcome such wonderful musicians to our stage. And then this concert's not going to be any different. We have just an amazing talent there, inspirational stories, inspirational music, and it's going to be fun to be able to share that directly. And then we also we'll have a live stream of that too, so folks can watch wherever they are in the world and experience your music. So we're beyond our walls. Additionally, and yeah. Thank you, David, and thank you, Alex, for being here today to talk about your life and music, and we're looking forward to sharing that tomorrow. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and take us out and maybe wrap up our episode and share with what we've got on the horizon.
Sounds good.
Here we go. So, what we were talking about today, Alex Arango is going to be joining us in concert tomorrow, Saturday, April 23rd, not at 2 p.m. Pacific. I forgot to put 7 p.m. on there. That's my mistake. So, it's at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. You can actually get tickets on our website, museumofmakingmusic.org. We have seats available to join us live in person at the museum. If you can't make it to the museum, if you're not in our region, or if you're just like to enjoy things at home, you can join us for the live stream of this concert by RSVPing on our website, museumofmakingmusic.org. When you RSVP, you'll get the link to go to this concert online. But you can also join us in person. So check out our website for that. And then on the horizon we have Missy Raines, an award-winning bluegrass bassist. She's going to be here Friday, April 29th at 7 p.m. at the Museum of Making Music. She's going to have her band with her. There's a few tickets for that as well. You can find those on our website, museumofmakingmusic.org. And then lastly, we have another San Diego Sound Project event with the Lyrical Groove, award-winning hip-hop band coming to the Museum of Making Music on Friday, May 20th at 7 p.m. We're going to be talking with Kendrick Dial. He is kind of the soul train behind this group as he describes it, and we're going to be talking with him and learning more about how the Lyrical Groove came together, their aspirations, as well as their direction in their career. Other than that, we are plenty to see at the Museum of Making Music in the coming months. I definitely encourage you to visit our website, museumofmakingmusic.org, for all of the information about tomorrow night's concert with Alex, as well as what we have on the horizon for our other live events. Until then, we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you in person or virtually. Until then, take care, everyone. Have a great day. The San Diego Sound Project was made possible in part by the Conrad Prebys Foundation. Additional support for live streaming was provided by the City of Carlsbad Cultural Arts Office. For more information about this program or any upcoming San Diego Sound Project event, please visit www.museumofmakingmusic.org.